は？どうしてあなたと仲良くしなくちゃいけないの？え？
It's been over 2 years since the original Prisma Causeway event, and the wait is finally over. Miyu is finally servant in Japan's Fate Grand Order. I know I've been wanting to reunite her with Illya and Chloe, and now's the chance. I'll be very briefly going over her kit, and give you some tips on how to make the most of this adorable magical girl. Miyu has above average attack and HP compared to the other 4-star casters. But she's not going to be generating a whole lot of stars from her attacks, having only a single quick card at 3 hits. Her NP gen is weakened by having only 2 hits on her arts cards, but having 3 should allow her to arts chains pretty easily to make up for that. Cheerful type Mystic Code Younger Sister is Miyu's only damage boosting skill. The art buff means more damage from your triple arts cards, as well as a nice boost to NP gain. The crit damage buff isn't huge, but lasts for 3 attacks. This means that even if you hit with Miyu and the attack does not crit, it will not reduce the number of attacks boosted by the buff. This is nice since the caster's star weight, Miyu might not always crit. Unfortunately, this buff is self-only and Miyu has no extra way to absorb the stars. The crit buff is more of an added bonus to its art buff skill. Maiden's Willpower is your pretty standard gut skill. It only lasts 3 turns rather than the usual 5, but as long as you pay attention, it should essentially act the same. It has a one-time debuff immunity built in, which is pretty nice, as well as you avoid defense down or skill seal that enemies might inflict. The guts is supposed to work to counteract the demerit on her noble phantasm, but most of the time you're just going to use it to survive an enemy noble phantasm or berserker crit. Wish of the Child of God EX is probably Miyu's defining skill. A targeted 30% NP charge is a pretty big deal. It'll help her get off her NP sooner, and more importantly help your damage dealer get theirs off. The increased buff success rate is pretty great as well. There are a lot of servants whose buffs don't always work to the fullest. Hans, Tesla, and anyone with Imperial privilege will benefit nicely from this. Flavor-wise, it's there to support Illya and by extension Sitonai to ensure that they get their buffs from their Suspicious Medicine and Kamui Yakar skills. Miyu's Wish Upon a Star Noble Phantasm is tricky to evaluate. It works like a mini Merlin buff. Both skills give a health gen, NP gauge boost, and crit stars to the party. Wish Upon a Star grants 10% NP per turn rather than 5% Guardian of Avalon, but only gives half the HP per turn. However, Miyu's Noble Phantasm lasts only 3 turns, opposed to Merlin's 5. This makes it much harder to stack the buffs. The other major drawback Miyu has is that the Wish Upon a Star deals her 3000 damage whenever she uses it. You're not going to be able to spam it, which you otherwise plan to do. If you manage to get Miyu to NP5, however, it doubles its healing output, making it equal to Merlin's in terms of health per turn. It may be unfair to compare a 4-star Noble Phantasm to a 5-star, especially Merlin's, but they're so similar in terms of effects that it's hard to not make the comparison. It's worth noting that Miyu puts the buff on herself, then it boosts everyone else, rather than placing a buff on everyone. This means that if Miyu dies, the buff effect runs out, but it also means that if someone dies or gets switched out, the replacement servant will still get the benefits of the buff on Miyu. Both of Miyu's passive skills are pretty nice. Everyone benefits from an increased debuff resistance, and 17.5% is a solid amount. Unlimited Prana Supply though is great for Miyu, and it's like having a half of a Prisma Cosmos for free. Anything that lets her use her MP more is welcomed from Miyu. You'll want to level up Cheerful type Mystic Code Younger Sister, or a Wish of the Child of God, depending on whether you want Miyu to deal damage, or to use her as an MP battery for someone else. Level up Maiden's Willpower last, since the health increase isn't large enough to matter in most cases, and the cooldown isn't usually relevant with Guts. There are a couple of different ways you can equip Miyu. If you want to make the most of her first skill, you can equip her with increased star absorption. Sealing Designation Enforcer or Talk of the Hot Sands work well for this. If you want to max out Miyu's damage, there's a great post on Reddit about the best way to do this. I'll leave a link in the description. You can also just use standard arts boosting craft essences. Formal Craft ups her damage and MP gen, while Last Encore and Chocolatier boost her arts while producing more stars for the team, hopefully helping Miyu's crits. You can also emphasize Miyu's support capabilities. You can use 2030 to increase her star production, or Prisma Cosmos and Ezra Magical Girl to fire off her NP more frequently. Path of the Lunar Goddess and Maiden Halloween help negate some of the demerits of Miyu's Noble Phantasm, but at the same time, you'll end up just supporting your support rather than the rest of your team, so you probably want to forego this in favor of other options. Miyu boosts any servant with buffs that are not guaranteed, or anyone who just needs to get their NP off quickly. She'll help any of your damage dealers keep going. If you put her with Hans, you'll have constant spam of buffs giving everyone a good amount of health per turn, stars, defense, and NP gain, allowing you to sustain long battles, as long as you don't get one-shot by Noble Phantasm. Jean helps provide protection from noble phantasms, and the extra healing makes up for the demerit unwished upon a star. A team of Miyu, Jean, and Hans is nigh unkillable, and should allow you to push through almost any difficult fight through sustain alone. Landing Wing works well with Miyu as well. Both have a targeted MP charge, allowing noble phantasms to go off consistently. Landling boosts Miyu's arts, crit damage and attack, and can drain enemies' MP gauge to keep the party alive. And of course, Tamamo no Mae is amazing, boosting arts, healing, and reducing skill cooldowns. Overall, Miyu is in a weird place. She's a self-buff, but can't fully act as a damage dealer. Has guts, but no other hard survivability, and her NP has a strong demerit, with a very small heal unless you really level up her noble phantasm. On the other hand, her NP charge is very good at 30%, while providing the second effect of boosting buff chance. And her NP gives 10% charge per turn, which is very strong. I honestly have a hard time recommending rolling from Miyu for gameplay reasons, as you'd be much better off simply running Merlin or Tamamo, or saving quartz and just using Hans instead. If she somehow loses the demerit in her noble phantasm, or her arts buff becomes targetable, she'd become a contender for strong 4-star caster. But that is very unlikely for an event serpent. Then again, most of us aren't rolling for Miyu for gameplay reasons. We are rolling for her to reunite her with Illya and Chloe, and because she's a little sister who must be protected. If you don't bring her home now, who knows when you'll ever have the chance to again. Personally, I'm holding off on her for now. I love Fate Illya and love Miyu, but I simply have too many casters and not enough quartz at the moment. But in 2 years, when she comes out in English, I'm making sure to NP5 this girl. That is my quick look at Miyu Edelfelt. Did you manage to pull her? What are your thoughts on her? Was this video helpful at all? Let me know in the comments below. See ya.